Oh, hello there. Yes, well, they do say that a week is a long time in politics, but, well, sometimes a weekend is a long time in politics. And you may have noticed over the weekend that there was an awful lot of, what do you call that stuff? Laughter. That was it, yes, especially on Sunday afternoon, with the entire nation having a jolly damn good laugh at the fact that Elon Musk has decided that he doesn't like his bestest buddy, bestie, apart from Trump, obviously, Nigel Farage anymore, yes. Always a major danger with the Reform Party, such as they are, in that once you go around having a broadly speaking, nouveau conservative, very, very nasty, quasi-racist party with all of the economic dynamism of a Liz Truss government and all of the subtle social policy of, well, the EDL, you're bound to sort of end up with a few problems. And most of the problems of the party are sort of encapsulated just in that one tweet, because, of course, suddenly various rugs are being pulled. Having been told last week that there are all these millions of young people that are flocking to Farage because, of course, they all love Elon Musk. I don't think they do entirely. I did have to smile at this with, once again, Matt Goodwin, who is basically the PR department of the Reform Party, to a certain extent, like all the rest of the British media to a certain extent is, GB News et al. But yes, once again, claiming that there are loads of people in his feed that are young people flocking to reform. It's just, indeed, if you look at the comments at this particular tweet, you can see that, well, that isn't exactly true, is it? Because I can't really conceive of anyone who's quite young that hasn't been dragged along by their dad. Because if we go to the very, very recent, what was it, East of England or whatever it was, Reform Conference, where there were a few problems, one might say, we can have a look at the audience. And it's a bit like a SpongeBob SquarePants film whereby various people are blinded by the bald heads on display. And there are a number of young people in the audience just at the front who look very much like their dads have bought them, or sometimes their granddads. And other than that, well, it's exactly what you'd expect. I mean, it's basically standard kind of Britain First Scout Hut group, but writ large, isn't it? And there were a lot of problems one way or another with the whole PR campaign, because effectively that's all Reform are. They are simply there to ensure that any forthcoming Conservative, or indeed Conservative Reform style government, conforms to a particular set of very, very, very precise economic policies. Number one of which, of course, is making sure there are tax cuts for rich people. Number two of which is to make sure that any social policy decisions that are made in and around working activities ensure that there are no rights that have been stripped away because of the ECHR. We'll pretend that that's all about immigrants. So we did end up with the unedifying spectacle of people from the audience. These are paid members of Reform, don't forget. They forked out 25 quid to Reform PLC, run by Nigel Farage and his mate Richard Tice, the two shareholders in that company. Not really a political party, they're not really members, they are patron account holders or something. Anyway, actually asking the usual questions there might be around, for example, Tommy Robinson, because you can't actually spend your time complaining bitterly about grooming gangs, and isn't it dreadful about grooming gangs? Isn't it dreadful about grooming gangs? And in that kind of monolithic racist way that Reform have been doing, without attracting a certain level of, well, let's face it, Reform-style supporters who are always going to be friends of Tommy Robinson. And then you have to find yourself on the receiving end of people that are quite keen on you being quite keen on Tommy Robinson. I mean, Andrea Levinson had to get sent out. Now, quite why any party political machine would, number one, involve themselves with her, and number two, think that anybody ever is going to be persuaded by her media appearances is as absolutely astounds me. But having been asked by that lovely young Michael Walker from Navarra on Gemma Ryan's show about about, Tommy, political prisoner that he is, squirms, very much the same way as Farage has been. And now, of course, it's come back to bite him. So the question is now, what happens, okay? Well, is Farage going to give in to, the unelected bureaucrat from Europe? Oh, no, hang on, sorry, no, unelected, spoilt child, drug-taking, very autistic, very rich person from abroad. Got to get my rich people from abroad telling us what to do thing. After all, we need to get, a real form of real democracy in play here, whereby very rich people, let's call them, I don't know, kings or something, can decide what the rest of us plebs are doing. But of course, that in itself is what basically Nigel Farage is doing with his Reform PLC, because if you look at them, okay, if you go along to any of these Reform conferences, you will see that they are 5 hours of Reform MPs talking at you. You're not allowed to ask questions, otherwise Lee will get cross and shout at you. Yes, so where are these Reform supporters going to go? Because they were promised a nice, shiny, brand new potential political vehicle for their racism. And now that's going to disappear. So what will happen, for example, if Elon Musk carries on with this, with his bestie friend in solitary Tommy, and actually decides, for example, to put a lot of money into an upstart right-wing party, which will come from a very, very much sort of AFD style, even more far-right than the Reform Party is, stance. What happens to Nigel then? What happens to all of those people that have forked out their 25 quid to be told what to do by him? Do they ask for a refund? And suddenly, where are all these young people that are so keen on both of them? All of these things, of course, are farcical mirages. I am put in mind of the end of Mosley in the late 30s. He was another person from a same-ish. I mean, obviously, he was a lot more posh than Nigel is, but these basically home county racists come from the same basic place. And at the end of it all, they always bottle to the establishment. They present themselves as these upstart young bucks, but when it comes down to it, they're a bunch of old men that want to put on a wax jacket and squelch around Boxing Day hunts with their richer friends, because that's where the real action is, and that's what Nigel has always suffered from, and he's never really minded who he throws under the bus. Hint, hint, it'll be all of those people that for the last few months have been putting all of their energies into telling you how great he is. So for the rest of us, that laughter you're hearing, like I say, is going to be us having a really damn good time over the next few weeks, because, of course, reality will always bite these people, and it's the one thing they're never quite prepared for. A bit like Andrea Levinson going on media appearances. Never ever prepared for any likely question that's going to be put their way, because after all, they're used to a media environment in which nobody ever asks them awkward questions. Anyway, do have a mirthsome Monday, don't you? Smacking my lips at that lot.